My mother is complicated. She can be unbelievably generous and selfless when things are falling apart. The kind of person who rushes in during a crisis and somehow holds everything together. But the moment life is calm, happy, or God forbid about someone else, it's like she physically cannot allow it to stay that way. Birthdays, holidays, simple family plans, somehow they always end up revolving around her emotions, her expectations, her timeline. And today was supposed to be different. Today was supposed to be easy. It was my birthday, and I didn't plan anything dramatic or extravagant, just a quiet 1 p.m. lunch with my mom, my brother, his partner, and their kids. No pressure, no chaos, no big expectations, just food, conversation, and maybe a few laughs. But when I arrived at 12:45, already bracing myself just a little, I walked straight into a storm. My mother was already furious, red-faced, tense, and ready to explode because in her mind, I had kept her waiting for nearly 2 hours. Never mind the actual reservation time. Never mind reality. For 15 straight minutes, she yelled at me on my own birthday, until something in me finally snapped. I told her that if this was how she planned to behave, she should just leave, because I wanted to enjoy my birthday for once instead of watching her ruin it. That's when she looked me dead in the eye and said the words that changed everything. This was never about me, it was about her getting to spend time with her grandchildren. And in that moment, I realized exactly how I was going to celebrate my birthday. Growing up, my mother was always two very different people, and which version you got depended entirely on the situation. If there was a crisis, someone sick, money tight, an emergency at the last minute, she was incredible. She'd show up instantly, take control, and somehow fix things. Friends admired her for it. Family praised her strength. But when life was calm, when things were supposed to be easy or joyful, that's when everything went sideways. She had this strange habit of creating tension where none existed, especially during moments that weren't centered on her. Birthdays were a big one. Holidays too. Anything that symbolized happiness or celebration felt like a trigger. Over the years, I learned to expect it. I'd lower my expectations, mentally prepare myself, tell myself not to react. Still, a small part of me always hoped that maybe this time would be different. Maybe this time she'd just sew up, enjoy herself, and let the moment be what it was meant to be. By the time my birthday came around this year, I didn't want anything extravagant. No party, no surprises, no emotional performances. Just a quiet lunch with family. Simple plans, minimal stress. Or at least, that was the idea. The plan couldn't have been more straightforward. A 1 p.m. lunch reservation at a local place we'd all been to before. Just my mom, my brother, his partner, and their kids. No decorations, no speeches, no expectations beyond sitting down and eating together. I intentionally chose something low-key because I didn't want drama. I didn't want pressure. I just wanted one normal birthday where nothing blew up. I arrived at 12:45, early enough to be relaxed but not rushed, already rehearsing my "it's fine" face just in case. But the moment I walked in, I could feel it. The tension, the heaviness. My mother was already there, sitting stiffly, arms crossed, face tight with anger. Before I could even say hello, she longed into me. According to her, she'd been waiting nearly 2 hours, not 15 minutes. Not early by choice. 2 hours. I tried to calmly remind her of the reservation time, but facts didn't matter. Reality didn't matter. She was offended, and that offense became the entire atmosphere. Other people stared. My stomach dropped. It was my birthday, and I hadn't even sat down yet. For the next 15 minutes, she didn't stop. Every sentence was louder than the last, each one more dramatic. She accused me of being inconsiderate, disrespectful, selfish. She talked over me every time I tried to respond. I could feel myself shrinking, the same way I had as a kid when I knew pushing back would only make things worse. My brother looked uncomfortable. His partner avoided eye contact. The kids sensed something was wrong and went quiet. And there I was, standing in the middle of it all, being scolded on my birthday like I'd committed some unforgivable crime. Something inside me finally snapped, not in a loud way, not in a dramatic way, but in a tired way. I told her calmly that if this was how she was going to behave, she should just leave. That this was my birthday, and I wanted to enjoy it instead of being yelled at. The words felt strange coming out of my mouth, like crossing an invisible line I'd never crossed before. For a brief second, everything went quiet, and then she said it. She refused to leave. Instead, she doubled down. She looked at me with absolute certainty and said that I should be the one to go. Because, in her words, this was never about you. She said my birthday didn't matter, that the lunch wasn't for me at all. It was about her spending time with her grandchildren. That sentence landed harder than all the yelling combined. Something about hearing your own birthday dismissed so casually changes how you see a person. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I just felt this sudden clarity. If my birthday wasn't about me, then fine. If the purpose of this lunch was spending time with the kids, then I would make sure that happened. Fully. Completely. On her terms. I smiled, sat down, and started talking to my nibblings. Like nothing was wrong. I asked them about school, about their favorite games, about the silly things kids love to talk about. I ordered food for them, played with them, laughed with them. I became completely unavailable to my mother without ever saying another word to her. At first, she didn't notice. She was still simmering, still waiting for me to react, to argue, to apologize. But as time passed, it became obvious what was happening. Every time she tried to insert herself into a conversation with the kids, I was already there. Every time she leaned in, they were focused on me. I wasn't doing anything dramatic or obvious. I wasn't rude. I was just present, fully engaged. The kids were happy, laughing, showing me drawings, telling stories, and my mother. She sat back, slowly realizing that she had sidelined herself. This lunch, the one she claimed was all about spending time with her grandchildren, no longer included her in that experience. She shifted in her seat. She sighed loudly. She crossed and uncrossed her arms, but she had trapped herself with her own words. She couldn't complain without admitting that, actually, it had been about me after all. Watching her sit there, powerless and pouting, I felt something unexpected, not triumph, not anger, but peace. For the first time in a long while, I wasn't reacting to her emotions. I wasn't managing her mood, apologizing to keep the peace, or shrinking to make her comfortable. I was just enjoying the moment. The kids were thrilled to have my full attention, and I realized how rare that had been before. Usually, every family gathering revolved around managing my mother, anticipating her reactions, calming her down, redirecting conversations. This time, none of that was happening. She was silent. She watched as the lunch continued without her control, and the more she withdrew, the lighter the atmosphere became. My brother relaxed. His partner smiled. The kids laughed louder. It was like removing a weight from the room. I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel petty. I felt free. I had followed her rules exactly as she stated them. I had taken her at her word, and somehow, that quiet compliance spoke louder than any argument ever could. Eventually, the food was finished, and the lunch wound down. There was no big confrontation, no dramatic exit. My mother remained distant, cold, and clearly unhappy, but she didn't say much. She couldn't. There was nothing to accuse me of. I hadn't been late. I hadn't yelled. I hadn't caused a scene. I had simply enjoyed my birthday in the way I chose. As we stood to leave, she looked smaller than she had earlier, less powerful. I realized then that so much of her control came from my participation, from my reactions, from my willingness to engage. And the moment I stopped doing that, the dynamic shifted. I walked out of that restaurant feeling lighter than I had in years. Not because I had one, but because I had finally chosen myself without guilt that felt neo. And honestly, it felt overdue. Looking back, I don't see this as revenge. I see it as boundaries. Quiet ones. Firm ones. I didn't yell back. I didn't escalate. I didn't try to change her or teach her a lesson. I simply let her live inside the rules she set. She said my birthday wasn't about me, so I stopped making it about her. And for the first time, that worked. I enjoyed my birthday. I laughed. I connected with people I love, and she had to sit with the consequences of her own words. Sometimes, the most powerful response isn't confrontation, it's disengagement. It's choosing peace over performance. And if there's one thing this experience taught me, it's this. You don't owe anyone your special moments, even if they're family, especially if they've proven they can't respect them. Sometimes the most satisfying moments don't come from shouting or winning an argument, but from quietly choosing yourself. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't storm out. I simply stopped playing the role I'd been assigned for years. My birthday wasn't about managing someone else's emotions anymore. It was about peace, laughter, and being present with people who actually wanted to be there with me. And strangely enough, that calm choice did more than any confrontation ever could. If this story resonated with you, you're not alone. So tell me, have you ever had a parent or family member hijack a moment that was supposed to be about you? How would you have handled this situation? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy real-life stories like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and stick around, because sometimes the quietest revenge is the most powerful one.